A child is born in North Korea, but from the moment of birth, the innocent child is declared a traitor. North Korea is known for having some of the harshest laws in the world. And some of these are so unbelievable that it's hard to believe. I mean, there is an election here, but there is no option to vote. The vote can only be given to one person. And if you do not vote, you go straight to jail. Here, on TV, there is only one channel. And there is no option to tune to any other channel. North Korea might be the only country in the world where you go to prison not for committing a crime, but even for thinking about a crime. Welcome to Scope History Videos. Viewers, until 1945, Japan ruled over the entire of Korea for 35 years. But after World War II, Korea was divided into two parts, North Korea and South Korea. North Korea was influenced by the Soviet Union, whereas the South had American influence. In 1948, Kim Il-sung of the Kim Dynasty was made the leader. And North Korea became the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. But here, democracy never really emerged. In 1950, a war occurred between North and South Korea, known as the Korean War. But after the war ended, no peace treaty was signed. For this reason, both countries are still technically in a state of war. In North Korea, to maintain power, there has only been one ruling family. First Kim Il-sung, then Kim Jong-il, and now Kim Jong, the grandson of Kim Il-sung. Each ruler has relied on strict, harsh laws to preserve their rule. Here, many rules have been created to forcibly suppress people through fear and punishment, so that people do not get impressed by South Korea or Western culture against them. And today, we will mention some of these bizarre rules, so let's begin. In 2024, North Korea banned the use of sunglasses and wedding dresses. Here, on the metro or public stations, instead of music, you only hear speeches of the Kim family. And during this time, no one is allowed to talk to each other or make any noise. In North Korea, if people are caught watching South Korean dramas or Hollywood films, they face labor camps or harsh punishment. These measures are taken to prevent ideological contamination, so that the public is not influenced by foreign effects. In North Korea, ordinary people are only allowed to use an internet, not the internet. This is a kind of closed network that only operates inside North Korea. Even on this network, the state monitors and checks what people are watching, reading, and saying. In this way, the government controls the information reaching people, so that they do not get influenced by the outside world. In North Korea, making international calls without state permission is also illegal. In other words, if you want to speak to someone outside the country, you must get permission from the government. Here, TV, radio, and newspapers can only be run by the state. The idea of private media is unimaginable. On this media, only praise of the government, the glory of the Kim Dynasty, and foreign enemies like the US are mentioned among the general public there from childhood. Hatred is instilled against America and its allies. In North Korea, the government also strictly controls people's hairstyles. The government has authorized a few specific types of hairstyles, meaning people are told which hairstyles they can have. Here, everything from the outside world is banned, like wearing jeans, dyeing hair, or wearing flashy dresses. Anyone doing this faces confiscation and punishment. Close this aside, even food is restricted. Hot dogs, because they are common in American culture, and certain South Korean dishes like tteokbokki are banned. Even traveling from one city to another requires a permit. Without this, travel is considered illegal. North Korean passports are only given to the elite class, such as government officials and close associates of Kim Jong-un. Ordinary people can never leave North Korea, not even in their dreams. In North Korea, land, houses, shops, or businesses all belong to the state. No one can own them. They can only use them. And that too at the state's discretion. Here, following or practicing any religion is also illegal, meaning people cannot choose any faith freely. Although there are churches in North Korea, they exist only to show the outside world that there is religious freedom. In reality, those who use them are sent to labor camps. In North Korea, if someone tries to go against the government or speaks out against the Kim Dynasty, it is not just them, but their entire family who are imprisoned. and this punishment can extend for 3 generations. In other words, if a person is declared a traitor, and years later their grandchild is born, that innocent child is also called a traitor. This is so that the blood of rebellion never rises against the Kim family later on. Around every colony, apartment, and house, there are government spies who secretly monitor everyone. The strangest thing is that in this country, it's not only committing a crime, but even thinking about committing a crime can send you to prison. In other words, if someone thinks against the government and it is reported, it would be like cutting off your own future. From birth to death in North Korea, every week there are self-criticism sessions where people in the class confess their mistakes, such as, I hid someone's weakness from the government, or I gave too little praise to Kim Jong-un, or I was impressed by something foreign. Then people apologize for their mistake, and the others in the class criticize them. In North Korea, everyone must vote. But the surprising thing is that the vote can only be given to the person the government chooses. In other words, there is no real election where the public chooses their leader. Rather, here, only one representative is voted for, and those who do not come to vote are considered traitors. So why is there voting at all? If the government only puts forward one candidate, in fact, here the election is not for choosing a leader, but a loyalty test. When 100% of people vote for the same candidate, the government sees this as a sign of its power and popular unity. There is also a National Assembly here, called the Supreme People's Assembly, but its role is not to make decisions, rather just to rubber stamp Kim Jong-un's decisions. All citizens in North Korea must memorize the government's 10-point ideological principles. If anyone falters while reciting them, they are called a traitor. In these 10 points, there is not a single point that does not mention Kim Il-sung. In North Korea, every TV set is only tuned to government channels, such as Korean Central Television. This means people cannot change channels on their own, and tuning to other channels is illegal. Imported TV sets have their NTSC tuners disabled in advance. In North Korea, even bicycles must be registered and have number plates. Riding a bicycle also requires passing a road safety test and obtaining a license. In North Korea, foreign logos, slogans, or flags on clothing are absolutely not allowed. The government sees these as foreign cultural influences and wants people to adopt only a North Korean identity, not just nationals. But if any tourist comes here, there are also strict laws. A tourist must have a guide and can only go to the locations designated by the North Korean government. They will neither talk to locals nor take photos openly, and if a tourist wants to interview a citizen, they must get permission from the tour guide. In North Korea, owning mobiles and computers is allowed, but USB drives and even mobile memory are regularly checked. If any foreign content is found, there can be punishment. In North Korea, there is an extremely inhuman class system for citizens, called songbun. The system means that when a child is born, their life is already decided based on their family history. For example, there are 3 classes here. One is core, another is wavering, and the third is hostile. The first category, called core, includes those whose ancestors participated in Kim Il-sung's revolution or were soldiers in the Korean War. They are considered the most loyal to the government. They are given the best jobs, such as high ranks in the government or military, and the permission to live in the capital city, Pyongyang. It can only be this class. The second class is wavering, or Donjeo class. These are ordinary North Korean citizens. Their ancestors were also ordinary laborers or farmers, or whose past was neither very good nor very bad in the government's eyes. They are allowed to access middle-class facilities in North Korea, and the third category is hostile, also called Jongtae. This includes those whose ancestors once followed some religion, or had any connection with South Korea. The North Korean government sees them as traitors, and they are given the lowest status in society. They get the worst jobs, such as work in a mine, labor, or cleaning jobs. Now, moving on. Here, electricity, water, and gas are all provided along with rations, and their consumption is closely monitored. In North Korea, from the age of 17, every citizen must serve in the military for 10 years, whether male or female. Here, at the death of any member of the Kim family, or on the anniversary of Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il's death, it is compulsory to mourn. If someone does not do this, their loyalty is viewed with suspicion. Every home must display pictures of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, and they must be cleaned regularly. For ideological loyalty, school children memorize the speeches of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. North Korea is so cut off from the world that even their calendar is different, called the Jukki calendar. The Jukki calendar starts in 1912, which is the birth year of their supreme leader, Kim Il-sung. In other words, the year 1912 is considered Jukki 1, and today, in 2025, it is year 113. Many reasons exist for North Korea's isolation from the world. First, the Kim regime fears that if people learn about the outside world, they will turn against the government. Thus, there is a ban on media, travel, and the internet. Second, due to the nuclear program, the international sanctions on North Korea have further isolated it from the world. It should be noted that many of these rules may have been abolished, or even more dangerous rules may have been implemented today. No one has updated information on this. All this information was also leaked by those who managed to escape from North Korea after 1953 using spy satellites. Various areas are monitored, or some North Koreans made footage and smuggled USB drives through China. I hope you scope history video, like and share. Thank you so much for your loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.